Irritating.
But one person actually wasn't introduced, and that's Melissa. So unfortunately, Zafira couldn't join us today because she had a bit of a insect accident. Well, an insect bit her, and her eye went swollen. So, but with us today, of course, we have Melissa Chan, who is the former project manager of the Perhentian Turtle project. So let me just give her a brief introduction to our talk today. So Melissa's history with the Perhentian Turtle project began in 2011 as a volunteer and continued with returning visits as a volunteer and intern until 2017. So she's been involved with PTP since she was very young, I guess. And after graduating with a bachelor's degree in human ecology with a concentration in marine biology and conservation, she took on the role of project manager between 2018 and 2021. During her time as project manager, she led various interns and volunteers in sea turtle conservation activities, including in-water surveys, nesting beach patrols, hatchery management, and awareness talks. She also engaged various stakeholders in and beyond the island to facilitate better marine conservation practices. And although she has moved on from the project, she is and always will be excited to talk about sea turtles and marine conservation issues. And that's why we have it with her with us today. All right, so without any further ado, let's just get right into... Oh yeah, I forgot there's a giant picture of Melissa here since we forgot to include her just now.
Skip the slide.
Skip it. Okay, now let's get a bit into the introduction of the projects. So I'm not going to talk about this. Everyone else is going to talk about it, our panelists here today. So of course with us we have the Perhentian Turtle Project in Melissa. We have Lang Tengah Turtle Watch with Seling. And we have the Sea Turtle Research Unit, or SeaTrue, with Sham over there. So we're all located on the east coast of Peninsula Malaysia, and we are all neighboring islands. So as you can tell, we're all very friendly, and we all love each other, and we all, work together a lot. So with that being said, how were your projects started, and what conservation work do you guys do? What are the core activities of your project? So let's start with Melissa, who will tell us a bit about the Perhentian Turtle Project.
Hello, everyone. So the Perhentian Turtle Project is a turtle conservation initiative under Fuse Ecotier, and it was officially established in 2015. So under the Perhentian Turtle Project, we have two main activities where we do kayak surveys and night patrols. And these two activities essentially help us monitor the sea turtle population in Perhentian Island. And the main way we do that, trying to keep track of all our turtles, is through photo ID, which is down here. Essentially what we do is we take pictures of the turtles' faces because they have scales on their cheeks, and the patterns of the scales are unique to each individual. So they're kind of like fingerprints, and taking pictures of their fingerprints, we can identify them and then track them over time. So because of that, essentially we're just taking photos. We are also able to share those photos of their fingerprints with other projects. And I think my chair is blocking the picture here. But we are part of a regional network with the other two projects and a few others around Malaysia as well, like the Juara Turtle project in Tioman. So we are doing all of these in Perhentian Island. Yeah.
Okay, Seling, now let's go into Lang Tengah Turtle Watch.
Lang Tengah Turtle Watch was set up in 2013, and it's not actually a very productive nesting beach, but hello, hi, hi, okay. So Lang Tengah Turtle Watch was set up in 2013 in Lang Tengah, and interestingly, it's not a very productive nesting beach, but there's still some nesting mothers. So we are saving green and hawksbill turtles over there. And it's actually a very great initiative by a landowner. So it was co-founded by Hayati and also Ray. So as a landowner, she decided that she wants to do something to save the turtles on that island. So that's how Lang Tengah Turtle Watch has been set up. And we have volunteer programs. So because of volunteers, we're able to actually patrol the beaches. And we eventually, over time, we also started doing coral restoration work. So coral reefs are actually important feeding habitats for turtles, and we want to have that. Without corals, you want to have turtles feeding there as well. And over time, in 2016, we set up another project in Tanjung Jara Resort. So it's in the main coastline of Terengganu. And there is slightly different from Lang Tengah, because in Lang Tengah, we patrol ourselves. But in the mainland, the state still gives up licenses to local people to collect turtle eggs. So with the license, they're actually allowed to sell to the market, but only until end of May, because the state has amended the law. So starting in June, the sale and consumption of turtle eggs of all species is banned in Terengganu. So while that happens, what we do is we actually raise funds through our nest adoption program. So people actually donate, and with the adoption fund, we buy turtle eggs from these egg collectors. So instead of the eggs being sold to the market, we're able to incubate them in our hatcheries in Tanjung Jara. So there we save another 2 kinds of species. We have green turtles and also painted terrapin. So that's pretty much what we do. And most other projects is always ongoing. So, and we do have to continuously raise funds to sustain our projects. Yeah, so that's all about Lang Tengah Turtle Watch.
Very good project plug, Selling. Thank you for that. And also very excited to hear that the amendment will happen in June, the amendment to the Sea Turtle Fisheries Act 1985, to hopefully save even more of our precious sea turtles here in Malaysia and in Terengganu especially. So that being said, we'll move on next to See-Through, and Sham, you can take the floor.
All right, thank you, Jason. So a little bit history about Sea Turtle Research Unit. So Sea Turtle Research Unit is from University Malaysia Terengganu. So since it's established and co-founded by Prof. Chan Eng Heng, and also Dr. Liu Hock Chak since 1984. If you can see over the slide. So it's quite a long time regarding See-Through. And we started, they started with the research purposes of saving the leatherback turtle. Then over the years, since 1993, they felt the urge to save more sea turtles in Terengganu, right? So they started 1998 to introduce us regarding paid volunteer program. So yeah, so the paid volunteer program is quite a new thing for Malaysians. So this paid volunteer program is a 1 week long. So I'm going to talk more about it after this later. And then over the years, after Prof. Chan retired, and then we proceed with Dr. Juanita, which is right now she's in University Malaysia Sabah, which she introduced Marine Awareness Program, and it's a long-term collaborative with Laguna, which is in Redang Island. Whereas, and then up until now, even today, we have second episodes of Marine Awareness Program in Laguna. And then since 2017, our current team leader is Dr. Uzai. He introduced the public viewing lab in the Taras Resort, which is also in Redang Island. So basically, See-Through is focusing sea turtles in Redang Island. So sea turtles in Redang Island mostly are green turtles. Hawksbills is it's a bit low in terms of how many times they come to our beach. So I think, yeah, that's the introduction about See-Through. So basically, See-Through has 3 pillars, which is the one I'm talking about is the volunteer program. And then the second one is the outreach, which is introduced by Dr. Juanita. And right now we're focusing more towards the research. All right, so the 3 pillars of See-Through is mainly the 3 things lah. All right.
Okay, thank you, Sham. So very interestingly, like Sham mentioned, actually all of the islands here, Perhentian, Lang Tengah, and Redang, we both get green turtles and hawksbills, but hawksbills are unfortunately not very common in our waters, and they are critically endangered in the world and also in Malaysia as well. So let's go to our next slide, which is what we will be getting into today. So it's island tourism, sea turtles, and corals, and we'll be focusing on this today. So thank you all for the wonderful introductions, guys. And tourism appears to be the main economic driver on all the islands we're talking about today. So can you guys share more on about island tourism, particularly tourism activities at your project sites? What are the impacts of tourism or the challenges that you guys face when it comes to doing conservation work and trying to toe that fine line between sustainable ecotourism and conservation? So we'll start with Mel again for PTP.
Yes, so the Perhentian Islands, if you guys don't know about it, is actually a very touristic island. It started off as a backpacker's paradise. So in the beginning, there were not that many resorts, family packages. But now more and more people are getting to know the island. So a lot of families and Malaysians are also coming over, which is great for the economy, for the local communities, because it also means that they are able to gain money, like legal money from the tourism industry, instead of poaching the eggs, the sea turtle eggs, and selling them to the market, which is what sometimes Redang and Lang Tengah Islands face. We also have that problem, but it's not at such a big scale as other places. So I'm very grateful for the tourism industry, especially now that MCO has ended. It really helps the economy. So for us, turtle conservationists, the tourism industry also helps us in other ways. One of them is they are our target audience for our kind of the sustaining of our funds. So what we do is we do promote to tourists saying that, hey, come volunteer with us, and they do pay a small fee to volunteer with us and do activities. And they will help us to do our surveys, monitor the turtles, do beach cleanups, and also awareness talks. And one of the interesting thing is also, like I mentioned earlier, we take pictures of the turtles' faces. So what we do with those pictures is we get to monitor the turtles. And that also means that anyone with a camera who can swim and sees a turtle can also help us in our conservation efforts. And that is also what we did. So, like today's a dive expo. A lot of divers, if you guys are divers, have seen turtles before, probably took pictures of their faces. And what we do is we will probably reach out to people like you to, donate your pictures to us so we can also identify those turtles and see if they have any matches in our database. So in Perhentian, we do that. And this map over here with all the stars shows all the different places we have seen turtles, but through our divers. So not our efforts, but tourists in general. And this is what we call the Citizen Science Initiative. The other things that we do, oh, there's a picture missing. Okay, ignore that. But another thing that we can do thanks to tourist presence is awareness talks. So, a lot of people sometimes blame the locals for, doing irresponsible tourism. But sometimes it's also tourist demand because, people don't know that, for example, you're not supposed to feed the fish, you're not supposed to touch the turtles. So instead of trying to get the boats to always talk about this because they're too busy, we try to step in and go to different dive resorts and resorts in general to talk to tourists and try to help them be more aware. We also do turtle camp, which the picture is missing, but this is mainly focused with the local kids in the kampong of Perhentian Island. What we do is we have kind of turtle camps where we bring them to the nesting beach and teach them about nesting turtles so that they kind of have a deeper understanding and passion for their local wildlife. Lastly, we also do stranding response, and this one also we rely a lot on tourists because we are only like a very small group, only 5 of us based in one spot in the Perhentian Islands. So the tourists are who we rely on to help report to us any incidents of dead turtles or injured turtles. And when we do get those reports, we will go out and respond to those. So we will take pictures, measure the turtles, and try to identify them. Yeah. So, sorry, the last one is the challenges. I forgot to talk about that. Yeah, so tourists are very helpful. You guys are always very helpful, but sometimes when you're unaware of how to behave in the environment, to behave with wildlife, it can be damaging as well. So for example, I'm sure you guys have heard of Redang Island with the snorkel tours where they allow people to feed the turtles, to swim and hug the turtles. Please don't do that. Because, imagine you're snorkeling or you're diving and people think you're very cool underwater and someone comes and hug you. No one likes that. So, if you don't like that, turtles wouldn't like that either. So that's not really nice. So tourism can sometimes be a bane, right? Okay, a bane for us because sometimes they get too excited and then they start touching things they shouldn't, they start feeding things they shouldn't. And there are also some people who start littering as well. And, in Asia, we have this mentality of like customer is always right. So tourists are always insisting that they want to do these things. And the local people who try to prevent it are not able to because, if they say, no, we can't do that, people will go elsewhere, and then they lose their business, and then we lose our economy, and then we can't protect the turtles either. So these are some of the challenges, but also benefits of the tourists in Perhentian Islands.
Okay, thank you, Mel, for telling us about the challenges and what's great about tourism in Perhentian. And very interestingly, she did mention turtle watching in Redang. Well, I'm not sure if everyone's been there, but it's quite scary sometimes to see people really holding on to the turtles and
Riding the turtles.
Riding the turtles, yeah. And turtles need to breathe oxygen as well because they're reptiles, so that can stress them out immensely as well. But I'm sure Syam will touch on it as well in Pulau Redang over there.
Quite a sensitive issue.
Okay, maybe not. But we'll see. Okay, moving on to selling again. Oh, my bad. Okay, yeah, so Selling is now going to talk about tourism in Lang Tengah Island.
So actually, because Lang Tengah, Perhentian, Redang, we're all islands, right? So we have island tourism activities that are similar. So actually, most of you guys also go to the island because why? The sun, the sea, the beach. Like, it's literally that's what you're there for, and you want to see the marine life, right? But same, like, tourism does have that impact. So in Lang Tengah, usually, like, you get people who enjoy the snorkeling, diving, you get to see corals and occasionally turtles as well. And we have a few sites for cliff jumping. A lot of very nice sites for hiking. If you are lucky, because unlike in Perhentian and Redang, the important nesting beaches are actually turtle sanctuaries. So they're actually off limit for the public at night. So it's a very low chance of you seeing a turtle because you cannot go to the nesting beaches. But in Lang Tengah, it's not a turtle sanctuary. It means that actually the beaches that we patrol, we actually see a lot of tourists all the time on the beach. Like we're patrolling, they're also walking. So when we patrol, we actually, I'll touch into that later, but basically you do have the chance to actually see turtles when you're on the beach. Then for us, at our campsite, we have a lot of visitors visiting us. So let's say if you come to Lang Tengah, do drop by our campsite because we will have educational talks. So we'll talk about turtles, we'll show you what we do. And we actually live in a very basic rustic campsite, very outdoor camping style. And we also do turtle nest excavation. So after the hatchlings have emerged, we will actually check the nest. We wanted to know how many eggs hatch, how many didn't hatch, why they didn't hatch, what's the problem. So if you're around, then you get to see that as well. And occasionally, we do have some live hatchlings still left in the nest. Then if that happens, you will have the opportunity to also see us releasing the hatchlings. So apart from that, we have volunteerism. So same as other projects, we rely on volunteers to help us because patrolling is like continuously the whole night, which is like 12 hours, and having volunteers is really helpful. So same, tourism is like a double-edged sword. Like there's a lot of positive impacts, especially for the local economy. In places like Redang and Perhentian, they have local communities. And before that, they rely on fishing, but now it's tourism. In Lang Tengah, we don't have local communities, but still a few of the locals from mainland, they are boat service providers, so they actually get income from there. And the thing about tourism is it gives all of us as tourists a very different experience. That's why we go to islands. And being able to see marine creature like turtles is actually very, magnificent. Like it's so nice. And at the same time, it creates conservation awareness because I think when you're there, sometimes you go like, oh, how come the beach is so like full of rubbish? Oh, what is this happening? Like you kind of like, when you're in the environment, you also feel aware about the nature. And of course, the best part is like what Mel said, as public, right, you also contribute to scientific research. For example, if any one of you here have like turtle photos, even from the past, you can actually like send it to us and we will actually look through. What happens is that we know how many individuals are using the area. We know where are the important feeding areas, where are the important nesting area. And this is very important because actually all our collective data, we actually submit to the government agency, Department of Fisheries, and this actually help them in, improving their policies and even management strategies. So that's how, as public, you can help because like we don't go everywhere every day. But thanks to divers, sometimes you guys send us photo like, oh, there's a new turtle. Like, oh, it's interesting to know, like, we want to know how many turtles we have. Is it sustainable? Do we have new recruits? And when we share data, it's very exciting for us because sometimes you go like, hey Mel, like the turtle feeding in Perhentian is like actually nesting in Lang Tengah. Then we know that actually it's the same population. It's not like this is our turtle, like my turtle. No, it's like the turtles migrate. So we are sharing turtle collectively. Then we work together to protect the turtles. So these are like the positive impacts lah. But the negative side of tourism as well, like what Mel said, is tourists sometimes they're not aware. They don't actually know better. One of it is like you have a lot of people stepping on corals thinking they are rocks. So corals are actually not rocks, they're animals, they're living animals, and they take a long time to grow, and once they're damaged, they don't always recover. So same while the educational talk we talk about is also like how to use snorkel responsibly, like not step on corals and things like that. And the other one is actually a very interesting photo. I don't know whether you guys can see it, but I hope you can. But this was taken in Redang. So with the feeding, when you start feeding turtles, it changes their behavior. So in nature setting, if a turtle sees human, they usually swim away. But when you start feeding, they kind of get habituated. They know that if I see a boat, if there's a boat coming, if there's human coming, there's going to be food. But because they change their behavior, there's also aggression, not just towards humans, but towards turtles. So if you can see this, this was actually taken quite interestingly because I had a camera at that time. And I actually saw the turtle swim towards the tourists. And the next thing I saw was like, it actually like just beat the bikini bottom. So like usually these don't happen. Like turtles don't bite humans, but when they know you have food and they can't really differentiate where the food is, like if you have some gestures that looks like you have food, they will also bite you. So this is one of like the impact on turtles. So we might not be aware of it. Like for us, it's like, oh, so fun, we feed them, you know, like, but they are not domestic wildlife. They're not domestic animals, they're actually wildlife. We don't feed wildlife because we do not know how it will affect their behavior, and they're living in the wild. They're not in like an aquarium or something. So cases like when turtles are habituated to humans, in Malaysia, maybe we don't catch them, but if they enter international waters like China or like Vietnam, where people actually poach turtles, then they might think like, oh, there's boat, there's food. They might go, like it increases their chance of being caught by poachers. So that's one of the negative impact lah. So the challenge for us as well is that tourism has its good side, it has its bad side. So like, how do we actually balance this? Because like Melissa said, like, sometimes it's easy to say like, oh, the boatman feeds. But then the boatman is like, if I don't feed, the customer don't see turtles, or the customer don't see fish. So I think the awareness works both ways. As customers, as paying customers, you can also actually tell the boatman, like, oh no, like we don't encourage this. Which is why you do see a difference between Redang and Perhentian. Perhentian back then, they had more foreigners. So with the foreigners, the boatmen actually don't feed because the foreigners will tell them off like, oh, you know, why are you feeding? Like, we don't want you to feed. So they also follow the customers. So like, instead of just like putting the blame all on tourists or on boatmen, like it's just being more aware. Like when you travel, how can you do that responsibly? So I think in the end, because if we lose our marine like ecosystem, the corals are gone, I don't think anyone wants to go back there to like dive or snorkel as well. And when the habitat's gone, you will lose all the species relying on the habitat for like shelter and food as well. So it's something that we do continuously like raise awareness so that we want to see all these islands. We want to still have turtles in like 10, 20 years. We want to still have corals in like a long more years to come. Yeah, so I think that's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Seling. That was extremely informative. And I just want to highlight the part that Seling said, where us as tourists and as consumers, we can say a lot by speaking with our wallets. You know, we can say, you know, I don't want to go here. I don't want you to feed these turtles. I don't want you. You don't want the boat operators to do these like less than sustainable ways of tourism of seeing turtles. And I trust you, and trust me, I assure you that seeing turtles in their natural habitat without any, you know, form of influence that we are doing by feeding them or whatever is 1,000 times better than if you went to one of our islands and you just started feeding them. Like, trust me, it's amazing to see them in their natural habitat.
And I would like to add one more is boat strike. So what happens in a lot of tourism islands is boat strike is a very significant threat to turtles. And this comes with, yeah, no choice. Like we have speedboat and stuff, but Sometimes, same, if as a customer, you actually tell the boatman, I don't want you to like go so fast, they can actually slow down. And sometimes they drive their boat faster because it's like a accelerating field, and tourists actually goes like, whoa! So like they would do that. But sometimes some of these things do have impacts to like the marine life.
Thank you. Thanks, Seling. Yeah, so now let's go to Pulau Redang. Let's go to see-through again, and Sham will tell us about tourism and conservation in
Pulau Redang.
Pulau
Yeah.
Redang, yes.
So basically in Pulau Redang, I will talk first about what see-through can offers in Pulau Redang. So basically see-through has this one beach, we call it as Cagar Hutang Turtle Sanctuary. So the beach is isolated and it's very exclusive. So anyone who wants to join us to see our sea turtle sanctuary, you have to notify us 3 days before, because the location, we have no line. So that is our main attraction. We can offer them that you can have some me time without any internet connection and everything. So the first one is, of course, we're doing a collaboration with MMS. So we call it as UMT MMS Volunteer Program. It's a 1 week nesting conservation over there. So basically, what Sea Turtle Research Unit offers is quite similar to other NGOs in other places. The only differences for see-through is that we try to connect the volunteer, whoever come to us, with research. So basically our motto is that saving sea turtles with science and also bridging science with society. So I kind of like that motto, so that's why maybe I'm here. So basically another one is the EduTrip. So EduTrip is open for public. You guys can come to our Cagar Hutang Turtle Sanctuary and experience what is sea turtle conservation. However, this is quite limited because we hardly advise that there shouldn't be any boat activities after 3 p.m. because that is the time where the mother turtles, because Cagar Hutang is a turtle sanctuary for mother turtles. So it's a nesting beach. So after 3 p.m., the mother turtles, they will usha the place. How to say the usha? Yeah, scout out the place to come to the beach for nesting during the night time. As Seling mentioned, the nesting activity it starts during night time, right? So and then another one would be our newest item would be the Camp Prihatin Penyu. It's a camping product. So it's actually, I call it as DIY, did it yourself. So you can propose it to us whenever that you want it, so you can go about it. And then our newest one is the Turtle Lab, which is it's exclusively for the Taras tourists. However, if you guys wanted to come, and for this part, I always joke around about like usually when we go to aquarium, right, we see the marine animals inside the aquarium. But for this part, we can see the researchers is being inside the aquarium. So basically, we will do our research on sea turtles, focusing on the baby turtles. So a lot of guests, a lot of tourists will come by, stop by, and ask us, what is this about? So they are interested, they are triggered more to know more about science behind of it. And then the research collaborators that we offer to be locally and internationally. And then the lastly is the Marine Awareness Program. So this one, we did it annually since we 2008 just now. So the impacts that we like to say is that, of course, you gain the first-hand experience with sea turtle, right? And then when we talk about Redang Island, of course, the hottest topic will be feeding sea turtles. You know, swimming with sea turtles. And then riding the sea turtles. So oftentimes, whenever we call it open season for coming to the islands and everything, Redang Island always has it's quite a hot shot from the DOF, the Department of Fisheries. So they oftentimes ask us, so what is the SOP from Sea Turtle Research Unit? Because we are a research unit, right? So they oftentimes ask us, where is the data? So right now, me and Dr. Uzai, we are currently, for my study, we are currently looking forward to study more about the health assessment of sea turtles, which is this evening, I guess, on 3:30, I will have more details regarding my study. And as also mentioned by Melissa, the negative impacts about this is that the customer is always right, they said. So yeah, there was like quite funny story for us, but it's extremely frustrating because whenever we do the edu trip, right, we receive quite a lot of tourists, and then we show them the baby turtles and everything, and then because quite a lot of people, it turns out when the tourists going back to their hotel, and then there's like this one boy take out a baby turtle from their pocket, from his pocket, and then he showed to his mom like, "Mom, I bring back the baby turtle. I want to pet it. I want to make it a pet." So thank God the environmental officer that took them told us, and we were being very quite frustrated about it, but then we tell them, we explain them what the impacts of it and whatsoever, so it resolves lah. But then we take more stricter measures upon it, and we make it into a funny experience for us lah, so that the others won't do it anymore lah. Yeah. So regarding the feeding sea turtles, and then usually this is in Rodang Island we call it Pantai Teluk Dalam. So that is a hotspot for if you want to swim with the turtles. So you can swim with the turtles, but bear in mind, do not touch them, do not ride them. It is I think if you guys are a diver, you should already bear in mind that you have a high conservation conscience yourself. Is that you do not touch wildlife, you do not touch any kind of like things that you're not familiar with, right? Because we do not know what they can affect us, what we can affect them. So when we talk about feeding sea turtles, usually the boatman will lure the sea turtles for their tourists using squids. So imagine the squid is quite, it's white in color, right? So if you go snorkeling over there, and then you can see sea turtles mistook your fingers with the squid. So oftentimes if you go snorkeling over there, you could hear people screaming, my finger, like that. So it turns out the sea turtles are quite aggressive because they wanted to eat more squid, because their diet already changed because the boatmen keep on feeding them. There was like before MCO, we kind of like being quite strict to Taras, because we're doing the turtle lab with them, we're collaborating with them. So we told their boatmen, do not feed. If you keep on feeding them, then we will pull back our turtle lab. So that is our strategy with the resorts over there. So their boatmen, they listen to us, and also they explain to their tourists. However, the local people, it's quite, local people, they want to attract more clients, right? So for now, we are still trying to make them understand the benefit behind of it lah. So hopefully, we will see later if our SOP regarding the feeding with sea turtles or swimming with sea turtles can be changed soon. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sham. That was very eye-opening to what really happens in a super popular tourist destination like Pulau Redang. So, wow, I don't know about you guys, but I really feel like just going back to Terengganu now to spend a week after hearing them talk about their projects again. But we'll move on to our next topic, which is actually something we have been discussing already, which is sea turtle volunteering. So, as you know, all of our projects here, Perhentian Turtle Project, Lang Tengah Turtle Watch, and See True, they all have volunteering programs. So maybe you guys can tell us more about the volunteering programs itself. Can you share more about the volunteering program, and how can we get everyday people like us, like me and you, involved in your sea turtle conservation work without being detrimental to the environment, and actually carrying out the work that we want to do, which is to save sea turtles at the end of the day. So again, we'll go with Mel first from the Perhentian Turtle Project.
Yes, okay, so our volunteering program, ours is slightly longer usually because we cater to backpackers and usually foreign tourists. This is before MCO. So usually they'll come and join us for 2 weeks and follow us on all our surveys, our night patrols, our awareness talks and beach cleans, so that they can learn about how they can be responsible tourists and how they can contribute to conservation and science. But obviously, now we have more local tourists in Perhentian Islands, so we have kind of cut down the volunteering experience to 1 week to try to cater to the school holidays and the amount of leaves you can take as a working individual. So what you will do if you sign up with us is you will join us for our kayak surveys and night patrols. So those are the two activities where you will see sea turtles in the water or on the beach. So our project is quite unique among all the turtle projects in Malaysia because most of the turtle projects usually only have experiences related to nesting turtles on the beach. So usually you do night patrols at night, you try to find the turtles on the beach and laying their eggs. But for us, we have this other activity where you can see them in the water in the daytime. So the place where we go to is also kind of similar like in Redang. It's a turtle feeding spot and it's very touristy. But for us, we will go there on our kayaks, do some surveys and try to find some turtles to take pictures of. Other things that we do is nest relocation. So for the nesting turtles at night, once we get a turtle, unlike see-through and maybe Lang Tengah, we don't keep the eggs in their location because we have poachers, we have monitor lizards, and we have a bunch of other threats, and we cannot monitor all the eggs on our beach because it's quite long. So what we do is once the turtle lay their eggs, we will collect those eggs and put them in a hatchery where we can protect them and monitor them so that once they hatch about 2 months later, we will collect the hatchlings and release them on the beach. So that's one of the things volunteers will help us do. Other than that is the awareness talks and the beach cleanups. You can be our manpower because we always need more people to spread the awareness and clean the beaches. And you know, besides all those work that you have to do in the 1 or 2 weeks you join us, you can also sleep under the stars. You can have a low impact lifestyle because we're very like Lang Tengah basic and rustic as well. And one of the fun things that you can also do is interact with the locals because again, our project is quite unique because we're located in the kampong with the local communities, so we're not isolated, and that means that it's very easy for us to talk to the locals, hear their concerns, hear about their observations, about their knowledge, and also makes it easier for us to talk to them about maybe the best course of action in terms of conservation. Yes, I think that is all from me.
Okay, thank you, Mel. And now moving on to Lang Tengah Turtle Watch on Lang Tengah Island.
Yeah, so I think all of our volunteering program can be very similar, but the experience is slightly different. So for Lang Tengah, it's really, really back to the nature, very rustic. Imagine camping, and we don't actually have proper toilets, so it's also back to the nature. Like if you come, I'll share more about that. What we do is the same. We patrol the beaches, so we are not kind of isolated like Redang or in Terengganu where they're in their own bay. So we actually walk around the beaches on the island. For the one further away, we actually relocate. So we actually take the nest back to our own beach and we actually incubate there. So if we leave it at where it is, there'll be poachers and we cannot guarantee it will be safe. So apart from that, after the turtle finish laying eggs, we will collect the data of the mother. So usually the standard, which is the shell, the size of the shell, like how long she is, how wide she is, and we actually take photographs, like Terengganu Turtle Project. So from the photos, we can know who this mother is, like human thumbprint, like what Melissa said. So it has helped us to actually recognize turtles. For example, this year, we have had turtles that nested 3 years ago. It's coming back this year. So based on our data, at least from 2 projects, we noticed that our turtles are coming back every 3 years for green turtles. So it's very interesting, and then we know how many times she comes out. So as a volunteer, that's what you will actually do it with us. You will patrol with us, you will help us collect data and relocate the nest. And when the hatchlings hatch after 2 months, you also help us with nest excavation. And I think for a lot of people, it's the experience living in the jungle, because nowadays you don't really get it much anymore. And on your free time, so we work basically at night, and during the day it's quite leisure, and a lot of time most of us kind of sleep in the morning because we patrol till like 7, 8 in the morning. So then you can do cliff jumping, you can go snorkeling, even free diving. We do try to have a floating bar every weekend. Then there's a very good spot for like sunrise watching as well. Stargazing is amazing, but that's what you do. I mean, we patrol the beach, so we get to see that naturally. And we have campfire and barbecue night. So it's a very unique experience, and I would say one in a lifetime. And I think it's more of like when you go there, you realize that you can actually live very minimally, like back to nature, and you will also realize like how much of an impact as a person, you actually contribute to the nature. So before MCO, we had mostly foreigners, and they usually stay longer as well. And we also have changed it to like 1 week for Malaysians, because most of the time, a lot of Malaysians cannot afford to take for so long leave. So you can find out more of the volunteering program from our website, and you can follow us on our social media as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all.
Thank you, Seling. And also, just to point out, Lang Tengah Turtle Watch actually has a booth here at MIDE. It's right over there behind us. So if you're interested to know more about their program, you can meet us there. And we'll also actually talk about Perhentian and Redang as well. So we all just go and meet us there if you want to have a nice informal chat with us after this. So yeah, moving on now to Pulau Redang. So Syam, can you tell us about the volunteering program at See-Through?
Yes, so volunteer program from See-Through is that it's a 1 week long, and of course there's no line as I mentioned just now, but quite a lot, before MCO, quite a lot of foreigners also. However, this year's, Alhamdulillah, still quite a lot of volunteers from Malaysia itself. So basically, yes, as mentioned by Melissa and also Sally, data collection is a must, because we wanted to know the population of sea turtles that come to Terengganu, how big they are. So other than getting close with the sea turtles, getting close with the nature, and then you enjoy the nighttime and everything, there are also additional for See-Through is that there are quite a lot of different research can be done on the sea turtles. Like me myself, I did a health assessment, meaning that I have to take their blood. So it's quite an experience, meaning that I need a lot of manpower to kind of to handle the sea turtles. Other than that, recently we have a researcher from USM. They wanted to know more about the bacteria from the cloacal, meaning that from where the eggs come out, from can I say a butthole? So the eggs come out from the butthole. In the scientific term is cloaca. So they some sort of they wanted to to swap inside and get all the bacteria. So it's quite challenging for us because we got the nesting mother, so the mother is on the land, on the beach with all of sandy and everything. So we have to think about an idea on how to sort of lift it up. So with all of the volunteers, they're quite interested to know more and also about the research. They help around. So I think the what I can highlight about volunteer program with See-Through is that we always have a different type of research that comes and goes out from, be it locally or internationally. So we can say that we do make connections all over the world. So yeah. So other than that, I think we have a Turtle Rock. So it's how to say this? So it's the view is quite magnificent. Of course, and regarding the prawn spa, if you because it's nighttime activities, so during the daytime you can just have free and easy activities. So the prawn spa is one of the side attraction that you can go. Other than that, I think if you guys wanted to know more and come to See-Through, which is Shagahuta Turtle Sanctuary, this is actually a QR code that you can scan and search for it. But right now, for today, we have a collaboration booth with TCS, Turtle Conservation Society, at booth A111. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Syam. So yes, these are all the volunteering programs of the projects that we have with us here today. And now we know how to get involved and where to go if we want to help out in sea turtle conservation work in Terengganu. So, sorry. Okay, cool. So let's conclude this forum just with some final thoughts. There's no more slides. We'll just have a nice little conversation. So this is a question for the panelists. For any of you guys, feel free to take the floor and just to answer this question. What are the long-term goals of your projects, and how can turtle conservation projects like yours work together in conservation and promoting sustainable tourism together? How can you guys achieve that together?
So I think for see-through, our long-term goals is that because we're saving sea turtles with science, right? So basically, our long-term goals is that we want to help recovering the population of sea turtles in Malaysia. So that is our long-term goals. And to be honest, since MCO, we can actually see there are population growth. Actually, yes. So how we can decide that is because the mother that come nesting to the beaches is that the mother they how to say this, they have a changes in growth, meaning that their sizes increases. So we can relate it, the larger the mother, the more the eggs that they can that she can lay. So meaning that the more the eggs, so more chances for the baby turtles to have a success rate. So and how this can affect in terms of like the second question just now.
Like how can you guys, or us as conservation projects, how can we work together in promoting sustainable tourism and our conservation work?
So for me, I think that I believe all of the I call it as turtle tourism in the islands. So basically, we can actually help like the recent issues regarding food securities. So if we think about it more, and we can actually we can actually give a hand to solve the food security, and of course regarding the not only the state's economy, even the nation's economy, if we work together lah. Yeah.
Thank you, Sham.
Yeah, I think for us in Lang Tengah Turtle Watch, same. Of course, primarily the long-term goal is we want to ensure that the sustainability of the sea turtle population. So in Terengganu, we used to have 4 species, and we actually already lost 2, leatherback and olive ridley. So once you lose them, there's no chance at all to recover, even if we increase our efforts. And now we still have green turtles and we have hawksbill, but we do see a nesting decline on hawksbill turtles. So if they are not producing eggs, that is very hard for us to say. But so if we compare, like started in the 50s, we can see a decline. But in the past decade, we see a slow increase. Like we do see increase in the green turtle nesting trend. So I think that's what we want to achieve. We want to make sure that we don't lose the species. But the second thing is also not just the species itself, but their habitat. So like the seagrass area, the coral reef area, and we are very lucky because our islands are actually already gazetted as marine protected areas, like marine parks. So it's just doing something about it to make sure that we don't lose that as well. So the habitats, and I think another very important thing is the awareness, raising conservation awareness is an ongoing thing, especially targeting people who are actually depending on these resources, the local people. Because we can see that there's no way the older generation would want to stop eating turtle eggs. It's like me telling you, can you stop eating rice? For them, they don't see it differently, but we do notice that ongoing education with the younger generation, they get this awareness when they are young. They can actually decide themselves later, like, do I want to save the turtles or do I want to see this as food? But it's just harder with the older generation. But hopefully, as they phase out, we will have fewer people who actually eat turtle eggs. And in terms of working together, we are actually already working together. And I think that's also because turtles are they cross boundaries. We don't only work just among in Terengganu, we also work with projects from different states at local level, regional level, international level, because that's how we learn from each other. Even now, we're collaborating with See-Through to, what she said, the swabbing of the samples from the cloaca. So we're collecting soil samples, and all this actually for us to understand more about fungal infection. So one of the things that determine the success of the eggs hatching is actually fungal. So if you have high fungal infection rate, then you will lose a lot more turtles, and that's why they were swabbing the samples from the cloaca, because we want to know is the fungi coming from the mother or is it from the soil. So that a lot of things we're working together in terms of research, basically trying to understand the turtles better, because we can only improvise our conservation strategies based on evidence. We collect data and we see what's wrong, what can we change. That's how we do it. For example, we also measure nest temperature, that it allows us to understand the sex ratio. Then we know that if we relocate the eggs, are we producing more females, or are we producing more males, or are we producing a balanced sex ratio? So these are all research that actually inform us, are we doing the right thing? So we work together on that, and of course the most important thing when it comes to tourism is we work together to actually come up with SOP. For example, like, okay, we don't let, what's the right thing to do when you watch turtle? Like, we come up with all these guidelines. So we work with the Department of Fisheries and, like, policies makers as well. So this is where we all come in, because some policy makers, they might not be on the ground. So we see what's happening on the ground with tourism and things like that. So that's where we all come together in that sense. And I think one of the things that we do definitely going to keep doing is we share our database. So let's say if I see a turtle that's tagged, we collect the tag number, there's a photo, then we check with each other, like, is that your turtle too? So we know maybe on my nesting beach, like on our nesting beach, there's only like, she only came out twice. We're like, oh, she only came out twice. But then when we check with see-through, like, oh, she nested 5 times there. So it's like, collectively, this mother nested 7 times. So it allows us to understand not just how many eggs and nests we save, but is the population itself like increasing? Yeah, because if we didn't collect our data, we were all just like, oh, we wouldn't know that. So when we collate and like compare, then we know better about like what we're doing. So I think that's very important.
Okay, thank you so much, Selling. Mel, I'm so sorry, but we've just been informed that we have no time whatsoever. But yeah, we'll talk more after this. Please feel free to come and talk to us as well. We'll be around either at the Turtle Conservation Society booth, or we'll be here at the Lang Tengah Turtle Watch booth. So, all right, with that, that concludes our forum today on island tourism and conservation. Thank you so much for being here, Mel, Selling, and Sham. And yeah, we hope to see you guys soon and on the islands as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jason, and to your panelists as well. And that was the forum, yeah. And,